Hello and welcome once again to the video. It's been a while since I last did a Formula 1 2025 video. Obviously the last one was when I looked at the last race in Abu Dhabi. So I always intended to just have a look, not so much at the season, well, yes, obviously looking at the season as well, but specifically I always feel like I'm being a little bit presumptive or big-headed or whatever the phrase or word should be, giving scores to drivers as if I am worthy, but everyone does, don't they? Everyone judges the Formula 1 drivers. So I'm just one of hundreds of thousands of people who are judging the drivers from the 2025 Formula 1 Grand Prix World Championship. So that's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is just list all 21 drivers. Well, I was going to include Doohan, but I was just going to put not applicable next to him because he only took part in 2 races, didn't he, at the start of the season? So I was going to put not applicable anyway, so I might as well just leave Doohan out. So I'll do all 20 drivers in the order of their high scores, basically. So the highest score at the top, like that. Whilst also talking about why I'm giving them that score, of course. So, number 1. Maybe I should do 10 here and 10 down there. That might be a good idea, possibly. I might do that, yes. So, number 1. It's Verstappen. Now, I gave him a 10 out of 10. Sometimes I see people giving scores for things, not specifically Formula 1. There's a podcast that I follow, although they don't tend to do fresh content now. But anyway, and they score things out of 5, but they do halves. I think if you're going to do 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, why not just do it out of 10? Anyway. So I'm not going to do it out of 5, including halves, because that would be ridiculous. I'm doing it out of 10. Okay, so Verstappen, 10 out of 10. I was toying with the idea of giving him 9, simply because of his attack on Russell in Spain, which it was so bad that he actually admitted that he had done it, that he had made a mistake and done something deliberate. So it wasn't actually a mistake. But he actually admitted, oh yes, I saw a flash of red, which can happen, but it took him months to admit that. But that's quite something. That shows how big a thing that was, the fact that he actually admitted to it. I'm not entirely certain, I don't recall Max Verstappen ever admitting to having done something wrong, but he did on that occasion, so I decided not to dock him a point just for that one particular incident. Over the whole season, you can't really fault Max, can you? I'm no Max fan, but he is just so good. But I do still keep asking that question, what would he be like in another team? I would love to see him in another team. I've had a little bit of blowback on my channel when I've suggested that Max is a great, but I will only consider him one of the very best once he's done something in a different team, once he's achieved something in a different team. But of course, thinking like that means that I have to class Jim Clark as not being one of the very best. So I think Verstappen, I would class him as one of the very best. but unfortunately he's not been able to prove it by achieving something yet in another team, just like Jim Clark wasn't. So I class Jim Clark as one of the greatest, yes, but all of his championships, or two championships he won, didn't he? Yeah, 63 and 65. And all 25 of his wins were all in a Lotus, a very good Lotus. And of course, most of Verstappen's success has come in a very good Red Bull. But most of every driver's success comes in a very good car. Most. But yeah, he was so good this year. It almost feels like the championship was his championship. Norris beat him by 2 points. Yeah, that's fantastic for Norris, but I just feel like Max is getting all the applause, and sort of justifiably so, really. He won more races, didn't he? He won 8 races compared to Norris and Piastri, who won 8. Sorry, they won 7 apiece, Norris and Piastri, yeah. Verstappen won 8. But lost the championship, just like Hamilton in 2016 when he won 10 races to Rosberg's 9, but lost the championship to Rosberg. So, and other seasons as well, 87 as well. That's another one. So basically, it's difficult to fault him. So good, but that Red Bull clearly fits him like a glove. Now, is he performing really, really well because the Red Bull has been built around him, or is he just really, really good and he's driving the same car as Tsunoda, but he's able to make it work? Yes, he is driving the same car as Tsunoda, of course. It's the basic setup of the car, the basic design of the car. Has it been done to suit Max? I'm sure that Tsunoda would say yes, it has. Has it been done to suit Max, or does he just have the ability to be able to adjust himself to the car, whatever it may be at the start of the season? I don't know, but I'd love to see him in a different team. Now I've put first there, but I'm not actually going to put number 1 after that. I don't know why I put number 1 there. I've now got 2 9s. Okay, there are 2 9s. First one, Leclerc. Okay, great performance. And a very difficult Ferrari. How many podiums did he get? Was it 7 podiums, 7 or 8 podiums? Consistently scoring high. Even when Hamilton was having a sort of good race, a relatively good race, still Leclerc would normally end up in front. He drove the socks off his Ferrari like he does every year, like he did last year as well. So had to give him a 9. No wins, but in that car you were going to have to rely on problems for both Max and the 2 McLarens, basically. The other 9 I have is, of course, George Russell. How could he not be? How could he not be a 9? Great, very similar to Leclerc, racking up podiums. But of course, Russell did actually win. How many races did he win? I mean, so 8, so 14, 22, 20. Did he win? 1, 2 races, didn't he? Russell won 2. Norris and Piastri won 16, so it's 24. Yeah, basically, Russell won 2 races. Such a good performance, consistently beating his teammate, even when Antonelli was having some good races in the second half of the season. By and large, Russell was still beating him. On occasions, Antonelli beat him, but by and large, Russell was on top. Be very interesting to see what happens next year. Very, very interesting. Okay, next up we have Norris with 8. And I'm going to put him down, Piastri, also with 8. Solid performance, basically. I mean, unfortunately, Norris and Piastri all year have been compared to Max Verstappen. Well, if Max Verstappen is one of the best of all time, It's a bit unfair, really, isn't it, to compare Norris and Piastri to him every race. But I suppose it's only natural because they're competing at the same time. So unfortunately, you do end up getting compared. It's like all the teammates of Verstappen, all constantly getting compared to Max all the time. Look at Perez; he would win occasional races, pick up podiums. Now, of course, Perez looks fantastic after the problems they've had since with Lawson in the Red Bull and then Tsunoda in the Red Bull. Perez looks amazing now, but they're all compared. All these drivers, they're all compared to Max. So Norris and Piastri did a very good performance, I think. Oh yeah, look at Norris in Monaco, dominant in Monaco he was. Now I've got quite a few 8s. I've got 9 8s. Is that a bit over the top? 9 8s. I'm going to start writing them down. Got Alonso, right? Good second half of the season. He didn't score, I think, in the first 8 races, was it? Not through any fault necessarily of his own. All sorts of issues he would have. Either problems in qualifying or problems in the race. But he had a solid second half of the season. Picked up, I think, a 4th place. 5th place might have been his highest, I think. 10 points, 5th place. But yeah, solid performance. So I haven't seen Alonso drop in form since he came back after his short retirement. I've not seen any drop off in form, so I'm expecting that to continue next year as well, especially with the Adrian Newey designed car. Hulkenberg. Not so great in qualifying, but very good in the races. Very good. You could have a messy, wet opening to a race, and you always knew that Hulkenberg would sneak up there and appear towards the front. Now, wasn't it Austin in the sprint race? Wasn't he right at the front, but he was harpooned by Piastri? I think it was Hulkenberg that was sort of right at the front there. Anyway, very good performance. And I've put his teammate there as well with 8. Steady. At the start of the season, he seemed to be a little bit struggling, I thought, struggling to come to terms with it, with the pressure and everything. But as the season progressed, he became very good. He had a few wayward races towards the end, because at one point I'd have put him as the standout rookie. In the end, at the end of the year, who would I put as the standout rookie? Who would I say was the best of all the rookies at the end? Taking in all the races right towards the end. Well, see, Bortoleto had a messy Brazil, didn't he? And he had I think more than one issue, more than one bad incident towards the end of the season. I'd probably put Hadjar and Bearman joint top, because I think Bearman improved throughout the season, got better and better. Some would probably put Bearman top, some would put Hadjar top, some might put Bortoleto top. They're all very good. They all proved themselves very well anyway. So there is Hadjar. He had that problem in Australia, but he bounced back from that fantastically well. And he's got an edgy personality. I think he'll get in Max's face. Of course, Max will probably just slap him down with a few very good performances, and that will knock Hadjar. Hopefully it won't knock his confidence, but I think of all the drivers that they could have put next to Max next year, Hadjar is the best, because I think he's mentally the strongest, even though he's very young. So, but then again, there's another one, look, Bearman, another 8. Too many 8s. Then again, I'll move over here now. Lawson, I said last year, oh, I think Lawson is going to be mentally strong enough for Max. But then a combination of just being a lot slower than Max, plus not being good in those opening 2 races, just knocked his confidence totally. But I think they should have kept him in the car longer. I think if you commit to a driver, I know they've got 4 seats, Red Bull, but if you commit to a driver and you show them the confidence that you have in them, I think you should, no driver is going to perform well if they think they've only got 1 or 2 races to show their talent before they get booted out. You have to give them room to make mistakes, and they didn't with Lawson. Now, have I got any more? I think I've got 1 more. Oh no, I've got 2 more 8s. Okay, my 2 more 8s are the teammates, Albon and Sainz, of course. Now, it was a game of 2 halves for both of them, basically. Albon had the good first half. Sainz had a rocky first half, but he was getting used to the new car, so just like Hamilton. So let's, we can give him a break for the first half, but he came back strong in the second half. Who finished? I think Albon finished higher in points, but not by a lot. But Sainz came back strong. Picked up a podium, didn't he? One of the races later in the season. But yeah, Albon was very good in the first half, and then second half, some mistakes crept in, some bad luck, but I think mostly mistakes. I think he was feeling the pressure from Sainz in the second half of the season as Sainz came back at him. But it was a real seesaw within the team. Albon, he owned the first half of the season, and Sainz owned the second half of the season. But overall, a couple of 8s, I think. So now we have our first 7, and it's Antonelli. 2 L's, yeah. Andrea Antonelli. I'm the only person on the planet calling him Andrea Antonelli, but yes, there he is, Antonelli. For the first half of the season, I didn't do scores for the first half of the season, but he would have scored low for me in the first half of the season. Lower, anyway, maybe a 5. But he came back strong, put in some good performances towards the end of the season. Very difficult to come back when you're a rookie, to come back having put in a bad first half. See, for instance, if you're not a rookie, let's say that you had a very good 2024, and then you come into 2025 and the first half of the season is ropey. At least you know that the team and everyone watching you knows that you're good because you put in a good 2024. Antonelli would have known that people watching him, casual observers on TV, would have thought, who's this Antonelli fella? He's rubbish. Yes, other people who have followed him in lower formula would know that he's good, but he didn't, due to car issues, he didn't shine in F2 either, due to problems with the team. So anyone watching F2 and F1 would think Antonelli wasn't particularly very good. And that would surely be in his mind. He would know that the team know that he's good. The paddock as a whole know that he's good. But the general viewer, all of those millions of people watching, would not think he was good from the first half of the season. So for him to pull himself round and show his talent in the second half of the season was very good. Still doesn't get him an 8, though, just a 7. Next up, Lawson. Now, he was struggling early on. He was being blown away by Hadjar in the first half of the season, but he came back. He lifted himself and came back and had a better second half of the season, raising him to a 7. Only 1 below Hadjar. So yeah, very good performance. Well, not very good necessarily, but it's very good to pick yourself up. Not very good results, but very good. Just like with Antonelli, both of them managing to pick themselves up from a ropey first half. Plus Lawson had the embarrassment of having been sacked from Red Bull 2 races into the season. And he still picked himself up and put in some good performances. Next up, Ocon. I haven't really got much to say about Ocon, apart from the fact that well, points-wise, I think he only finished a few points behind Bearman. I think 3 points behind Bearman, but he seemed to be overshadowed by Bearman pretty much all season. But he still scored only a few less, 38 points. I think he got Bearman 41. So it was okay. I've given him a 7, but he's been pretty invisible to me, which is surprising considering it's Ocon. But he's been fairly invisible to me all season. But I think he deserves a 7 because he did stay there in the points with Bearman. But Bearman is a rookie, apart from his couple of drives last year. So Bearman still deserves to have 1 point more, in my view. Right, so how many have I done? I've done 3 7s. Right, now there are 2 6s. And the first one is Hamilton. He always finishes 6th in every race, 6th in every championship, pretty much. It feels like he finishes 6th every race. It feels like he finishes 6th in every championship since 2020. And he's only got 6 points here as well. Not that he cares. Yeah, I mean, 3 less than Leclerc. Leclerc had the edge on him all season. And yes, Hamilton has to get used to the car, but Sainz had a better second half of the season. Didn't he? So, Antonelli, he's newer to Formula One than Hamilton. Antonelli had a good second half of the season. And what happened in China, I don't understand. How was he able to get pole position in the sprint race? It's never been fully explained how he got pole position. We know how he won the sprint race. He won the sprint race because he was on pole. But how did he get pole? There were murmurings earlier in the season of changes made to the car or something. Well, if that's true, change back. Or was it just literally that China was suited to him? I have to say it's suited to me. I always beat my son in F1. I think we've got F1 25 now. Yeah. My son's just got an Xbox and we've got F1 25 on there, I think, now, yeah. But anyway, I'm always very good in China. Always have been. Maybe Hamilton is as well. Although less said about the 2007 Chinese Grand Prix, the better. Don't get me started on that, on the end of that race. But I mean, I was toying between 5 points and 6 points for Hamilton. I gave him 6 points because of the sprint race in China. He's too good to be a 5 anyway, but you have to go by results as well. I think I gave him a 6 last year as well. And the other 6 is Gasly. He put in a good performance, scored about 30 points, I think. Was it 30 points or 20 points? Something like that. Put in a good performance in a very weak car, in the worst car in the grid, basically. But he was often up there. Now, some might say I should give him more than 6 because he had a terrible car, but it's difficult to judge sometimes. If it was a better car, would Gasly have performed better? Yes, he may well have done, but you have to go by results as well, don't you? So I'm going to give him a 6, but that's the one that I'm most dubious of. Maybe I should give him a 7, but I'm going to stick with 6. Now we've got 1-5. Who was that? Oh yeah, Stroll. I'm giving him that simply because of the start of the season. Wasn't it Australia, his best result? Or was it the next race? Wherever that was. Yeah, for most of the season he struggled. But he did pick up 3 eighth places towards the end of the season, though. 3 8th places. So I'll give him a 5. But I mean, he's nowhere near Alonso. Again. There are no 4s and there are no 3s and there are 2 2s. And the 2 2s are, and there are just 2 2s. Yeah, that's left. That's all that's left. So, and they are Tsunoda. Oops, what happened there? Oh my goodness. That's supposed to be an S. Oh dear. Tsunoda and Colapinto. Now, I'm just being polite, really, by giving them 2s. Because Colapinto, wasn't it last year he took place in one race? Was it Italy? And he did quite well. So I'm sort of almost basing his 2 points on that. And Tsunoda, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that the max ball factor, the whole team must be very difficult to drive in a team where everything is focused on one driver. And yes, all things being equal, Max would still blow Tsunoda's doors off, of course. But I've given him the grand total of 2 points because I'm sort of cutting him a little bit of slack and thinking, well, maybe he does deserve a little bit of a little bit of slack, basically. So let's just get where's my pointy stick, my pointy pen, the pen that I used to do pointing with. There it is. So there you go then. Norris, world champion, but I've put him below. I think most people would agree with Verstappen being top and Leclerc and Russell being joint second. Norris and Piastri. I've put them together, you see, Norris and Piastri. I haven't separated them. In fact, I haven't spoken much about them, have I? But Piastri, very good earlier in the season. Norris, very good later in the season. I completely missed talking much about them, didn't I? Norris and Piastri. Anyway, I'll make up for that now. So Norris, I always thought he was going to win the championship, as I've said before. And I did have a wobble after Zandvoort where I thought maybe the points gap is too big now. But then the very next race in Italy, I thought, well, no, maybe he can because he's still faster than Piastri. And I thought, whilst he remains faster than Piastri, he can win the championship. There's enough races left, especially if Piastri starts feeling the pressure. And that's exactly what happened. Norris didn't make any mistakes in Brazil or Mexico, and the sprint race in Brazil as well, and so raked in loads of points. Piastri was good, but he was good mainly in races where Norris was sort of taken out of it. If Norris had made a mistake in qualifying, like Saudi Arabia, Norris made a big mistake in qualifying, or Miami, where Norris actually qualified ahead of Piastri, but then was taken out by Verstappen, a mistake that Verstappen made at the start, and that just let Piastri through, and off he went to win the race. So at that time, in the early part of the season, Piastri was winning race after race and must have been thinking, this is easy. Norris keeps taking care of himself. I don't have to beat Norris. He just wipes himself out every time. And it takes himself out of contention with mistakes in qualifying, and then gets himself bogged down in the race, and then he struggles to overtake. Lando always struggles to overtake, whereas Oscar is a much better overtaker. Norris has the out-and-out speed. He's faster than Oscar. Lando is faster than Oscar. But Oscar is a better overtaker than Lando. So, to quote Zach Brown. But I give them the same score overall. It's difficult to separate them, really. But I would, because they had different skills. It's not because they were both as fast as each other, or both as good at overtaking each other, or both good at starts. No. Norris was the better for speed. Piastri was the better for overtaking and for starts and for aggression. And composure towards the end, Norris is the one that held it together more so, strangely, despite Oscar's strength earlier in the season, mentally. But I think Oscar, everyone was banging on about how mentally strong Oscar was, but it should be remembered that when you're winning the races without having to really beat anybody, because the McLarens were dominant in the first half of the season, Lando would take himself out in qualifying, and then not be able to overtake anybody. So Oscar was just on a Sunday afternoon drive to the flag, basically. So no wonder he was all calm and relaxed, because he wasn't really having to do anything. As soon as the pressure came on, though, in the second half of the season, that's when Oscar started to slip. Understandably, that can happen. Norris, however, got mentally stronger. Probably because he was no longer the favourite, because he was behind Oscar in the championship. People were talking about who will win, Max or Oscar. Who will win, Max or Oscar? Max or Oscar? Even at one point in Austin, talking about team orders before the US Grand Prix. People were talking about team orders against Lando, and yet what happens? Lando wins the championship. Team orders thing was ridiculous. It was also ridiculous when they were talking about team orders against Oscar in the last couple of races of the season. That was also ridiculous. So I give them the same points because they had strengths in different areas and at different times of the season. Norris was imperious in both Mexico and Brazil, and earlier in the season in Monaco. So there you go. That's my list. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. Is that in focus? Yeah, it's still in focus. So there you go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll have to do more F1 videos in the. I do have a few non-F1 videos already recorded. But I'm going to start doing some more F1 videos during this off-season period over the next 2 months, including some ones about the news, what's in the news, F1 news, you know. Right. Thank you very much. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so, or like the video, or comment on the video, or even leave a tip on the thanks button below the video. And I will see you on the very next video, whatever it may be about. Thank you and goodbye for now.